Om Shreem Hreem Kleem Glom Ganganapataye Varavarada Sarvajanam Me Vashamanaya Swaha. Om Shreem Hreem Kleem Glom Ganganapataye Varavarada Sarvajanam Me Vashamanaya Swaha. Om Shreem Hreem Kleem Glom Ganganapataye Varavarada Sarvajanam Me Vashamanaya Swaha. Om Shreem Hreem Kleem Glom Ganganapataye Varavarada Sarvajanam Me Vashamanaya Swaha. Om. Srini, chant Pandriyada, sixth one. I'll put it up here.
Sure. ಇದು ಗುಣತ್ರಯಾತೀತೇಲಂಗ
Sixth.
ತ್ವಂ ಗುಣತ್ರಯಾತೀತಃ ತ್ವಂ ಅವಸ್ಥಾತ್ರಯಾತೀತಃ ತ್ವಂ ದೇಹತ್ರಯಾತೀತಃ ತ್ವಂ ಕಾಲತ್ರಯಾತೀತಃ ತ್ವಂ ಮೂಲಾಧಾರಸ್ಥಿತೋऽಸಿ ನಿತ್ಯಂ ತ್ವಂ ಶಕ್ತಿತ್ರಯಾತ್ಮಕಃ ತ್ವಾಂ ಯೋಗಿನೋ ಧ್ಯಾಯಂತಿ ನಿತ್ಯಂ त्वं ब्रह्मा त्वं विष्णुस्त्वं रुद्रस्त्वमिन्द्रस्त्वम् अग्निस्त्वं वायुस्त्वं चन्द्रमा सूर्यस्त्वं चन्द्रमास्त्वं ब्रह्म भूर्भुवस्वरोम्.
Super. Raghu?
त्वं गुणत्रयातीतः त्वं अवस्थात्रयातीतः त्वं देहत्रयातीतः त्वं कालत्रयातीतः त्वं मूलाधारस्थितोऽसि नित्यं त्वं शक्तित्रयात्मकः त्वां योगिनो ध्यायन्ति नित्यं त्वं ब्रह्मा त्वं विष्णुस्त्वं रुद्रस्त्वमिन्द्रस्त्वमग्निस्त्वं वायुस्त्वं सूर्यस्त्वं चन्द्रमास्त्वं ब्रह्मभूर्भुवस्वरोम्.
Very nice. Tvam gunatrayatitaha we saw last week. Now, in this we saw that we are talking about this Ganesha, this principle which is atitaha, which is beyond anything that can be defined. This is what we looked at last week. We are trying to look at something that cannot be defined, because the moment you're defining it, you are excluding something. The moment you say you're a male, you're excluding the fact that the possibility of being a female. The moment you say I am you're saying, for example, you're saying I am I'm old, which means you are not young. Right? I say I am fat, which means you are not thin. So what happens is, somewhere there is this definition by principle is exclusive. It is not inclusive. Okay, which is why the difficulty of trying to define something which is undefinable or inexplicable. The Shastras and all the scriptures have this difficulty, because when you close your eyes and sit with yourself, how do you define yourself? See, in fact, it's a very interesting observation. Whenever you think about somebody else, you always think of their form. Okay? Just follow this conversation through. When you think about somebody else, you think about your child, you think about your wife, you think about your parents, whoever. The other person, when you think about, you think of their form. Okay? Now, which form, it doesn't really matter, because when you think about the person, obviously the form comes to mind. When you think about a friend, the form comes to mind. But when you think about yourself, does a form come to mind? when you think, I did this, I have to do this, I want to be here, I want to, I don't want this, I like this, let me work towards this. Or am I a good person? Am I a good sadhaka? Are people seeing me as a helpful and a kind person? All of these thoughts, when I have about myself, does form appear in our minds about ourselves? There is no form. If you notice, there will be no form that will appear. Because what will you think about yourself? When you were 10 years of age, you were thinking about yourself. When you're 15 years of age, you're thinking about yourself. When you're 40, you're thinking about yourself. When you're 60, you're still thinking about yourself. So when you think about yourself, which age of yours will you think? The best possible, in fact, you will have to force yourself to think about your form. The last time you saw yourself in a mirror is a thought that you will have to bring back from memory to forcibly think that, okay, I look like this. Or somebody has taken a photograph of you and you see the photograph and then you tell yourself, this is how I look, and I'll have to bring that form into my mind through exertion. It is not a natural occurrence. But when I think about one of you, or you think about me or anybody else, the last time you've seen this person, somewhere that thought will come. Some impression of this person's form will be there in our head, that will come. But when you think about yourself, there's no form. So which means the funny part is, in true sense, you cannot define yourself. In the true sense of the word, you really can't define yourself. Right? So definition, because somewhere innate within us is the sense of expanse, is the sense of inclusiveness with everything. Only when you tell yourself that I am bound by this body, by this mind, then there is a definition that is getting created. But otherwise, in essence, we are all Arupa. Arupa Lakshmi, Arupa Narayana. We are all lingas only. Lingas means we are only the symbol. We are just the form. Linga is not a form. Linga is a symbol. It's a symbol of something else. It represents something. It represents the infinite. So like that, we are all linga. Either pullinga, strilinga. Linga, I don't mean in terms of gender. I'm in the root word. The root word linga means a symbol, a pointer. So look at it. It's very beautiful that way. So when I cannot define myself, then how am I to define that which is all pervading, all existing, through all time, through all space, and through all objects? It is dehatrayat, it is vastutrayat, vastuatitah, kalatitah, and deshatitah. Kala, desha, vastu. Time, space, object. It is beyond all of that. So the first we saw was gunatrayatitah last week. Now we'll see avasthatrayatitah. Avastha are the three states of consciousness we exist in: waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. Right? So avasthatraya, let me just, okay. Hari Om Mama Mami, Namaskaram. So we will, avasthatraya are the three different states of our consciousness. Namaskaram, ma'am. One is the the waking state in which we are right now. We recognize this as the waking. The second is the dreaming, where we are in an altered state of existence. Our mind creates a different reality based on the impressions that we gather in the waking. So in the waking, whatever impressions we gather, these impressions are all over the place, right? There is some impression that from the last night movie I saw to the last 10 years ago, an interaction I had with somebody, or 40 years ago, I had some engagement. All of these are impressions in my body, in my consciousness. They are reside as impressions within me as vasanas, or some form of residue it leaves behind. In the dream state, or rather what happens is, when we go to sleep, these residues start forming images. Residues start forming images. And these images are it creates a story. Now, who creates a story? I myself create the story. Because I am the karta and the bhokta in the dream state. I am the one who creates it. I am the one who enjoys it. I am the one who goes through the whole experience. And I am the one who is also experiencing the joys, the sorrows, the sadness, the pain, the suffering, the happiness, everything in that dream. Right? So I am both the karta and the bhokta. Now, this is an altered reality that has been created. Now, where does this dream go when I wake up? When I wake up, where does this dream go? The dream goes off as though it did not exist, right? So the only the only residue of the dream is the memory that you carry of the dream, correct? Because somewhere the mind or something is recording the event that has happened in the dream, and it records only glimpses of it, not entirely the whole dream. It records glimpses of it, sections of it records those sections which has an impact on you. And when you wake up, the dream itself vanishes, right? There are some impressions or residue that remains of the dream, but the dream itself vanishes. So where is the dream? And just think about it. Where did it exist and where did it go away? So there is no reality to the dream, correct? But somehow there is an experience of reality. There is an experience of reality that occurs in the dream. So this experience is what remains there is only the experience, but not the actuality of the dream. Right? So this is the swapna avastha, the second state that we typically go into. The third state is deep sleep. Now, are there intermediary states? There are many states. Okay, there are many altered states of consciousness. Like, for example, when you're sitting during the day and you're in the Tamil, there is a term called parak pakarda. So when you're just looking at something like that, your mind is wandering off somewhere. Your eyes are looking at something, but your mind is wandering off somewhere. This is an altered state of consciousness. Is this waking? Yes, the person is awake. Is he dreaming? Yes, he's dreaming also. So that state is also there. And then people who, so now you take a drug, you take a sleeping pill, or you take a sedative, you will notice that a very groggy feeling that you have. After you sleep also, you get up, your mind will be, everything will appear a little hazy. You'll not be entirely, the appearances and things won't appear very clear. That is another state of consciousness. People who take to drugs, who have hallucinations, they have other altered states of the mind. So, are these the only three states? Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti? No, there are many more. There are many intermediary states. It's just that for simplicity's sake and for the to get to the point, which is I am none of these states. To get to that point, these three states are good enough from an investigation standpoint. Okay. So Jagrat Avastha, we know this is the waking state where I am doing, thinking, making decisions, driving, planning my life, taking the next action. All of that I am doing in the waking state. In the dream state, I do the exact same things, but it is short-lived, relatively. Compared to the waking, dreaming state is short-lived, and the dreamer is able to perceive that he was in a dream. The waker is able to perceive that he was in a dream and he came out of a dream, right? So this perception the waker has. Then deep sleep, there is something, yeah, too much adrenaline makes people behave funny. Correct, Kalpaka. That's right. Any of these drugs that you take, which are high dose drugs that induce either has some kind of hormonal impact on you, it will send you to altered states of consciousness, altered states of the mind, and you can't really say how it will be, right? People have had hallucinations of seeing some objects which don't actually exist. Are they waking? Yes, they are in the waking. But are they dreaming? Yes, they are dreaming, but because others cannot see the object that they are seeing. So these things occur, which means the mind is so complicated, so complex that it goes through many, many different states of perception, states of awareness. But for our purpose, we are looking at these three states. And the third one is deep sleep. So deep sleep is a state where the mind is off. The mind is not active. So all these altered states we spoke about are between waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. Between this, because the mind is still active in some form or the other, mind is still active, is engaged. The mind is still engaged. Even to create an altered state of perception, the mind is still engaged. Then I go into deep sleep. Deep sleep is exactly the same for everybody. When we hit the deep sleep state, it is exactly the same for everyone, because the difference that we carry is the body and the mind. And of course, when I say the mind, it also means the intellect. But it's the body and the mental faculty. This is what differentiates you and me. Either in ignorance or in knowledge, we are one and the same. In ignorance, we are the same. In knowledge also, we are the same. What does that mean? It means that when I go to sleep and when I'm completely, my body and my mind is turned off, which means there are no dreams. I'm talking about dreamless deep sleep. When I say deep sleep, we're talking about the dreamless state of sleep where there is no mental activity. The body is anyways rested. So body is rested, the mind is completely turned off, and I am in deep slumber. Okay. Now, when I am in this situation, I do not recognize that state while I am in that state. I don't recognize it while I'm in the state. Same thing as in dream. While I'm in dream, I don't recognize the dream. So likewise, when I'm in deep sleep, I don't recognize the deep sleep. But what I recognize is the effect of the deep sleep after I get up. right? After I get up, I recognize that I had a wonderful sleep. See, this is what everybody says, right? Whenever you hit deep sleep, whether it's for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours at night, whenever you do that, or during the day you sleep off, have a short power nap. Whenever you go into deep sleep, you will know that you went into deep sleep because you will feel rested. You will feel completely rested and you will say, wow, that was such a good sleep I had. Right? Now, that state, I am not aware of it while I am in that state. I recognize it or the effect of it when I wake up. Now, in the deep sleep, was I there? Then, if the answer is no, I was not there, because you don't have a memory of what was there in the deep sleep. So, if you say I was not there, then the next question is, were you dead in deep sleep? They'll say, no, I was not dead. I was very much alive. So, what was it that was alive during deep sleep? You were still alive. You probably don't have the recognition of what happened or what was there in that. What you realize is only the effect of it, but there is something that was present. Right? There is something that was present. In the same way, in the dream state, there is something that is creating all of this. You say the mind is also creating yourself in the dream. Mind is also creating the objects around and the people around in the dream. But there is something that is there which recognizes the dream state. So there is something that recognizes the deep sleep state. There is something that recognizes the dream state. There is something that now currently right now is recognizing the waking state. Right? There is something that recognizes that I am awake, because there is a continuity of experience that we have. Imagine within yourself, you just go within yourself and look, see if you have had any broken experience of your existence. Did you at any point in time feel that, oh, maybe 1983 August to 1983 September or December, I wasn't there. If we happen to go into coma or some kind of hospitalization for whatever reason, somebody has to come and tell you, during this period you were hospitalized, you had no memory of what happened. So like if I go and ask my father now, so remember my father had he was hospitalized and he was almost in a deluded state for about a month, 1 to 1.5 months, and he has no recalling of that 3 to 4 weeks of time. He has no recall. He has no recall means whatever happened during that time, he doesn't remember. But he doesn't feel that there is a broken experience of time. For him, when he went into that state, he probably remembers, and he remembers when he came out. Now, what happened during that duration, he doesn't remember it, but he doesn't also feel that he was not there. அப்பா நீ அப்போ இல்லையா அப்படின்னு கேட்டா, இல்ல நான் இருந்தேன்பா, எனக்கு ஞாபகம் தான் இல்லை. He'll say I was there but I don't remember it. So there is something that is recognizing your presence all the time, that existence. So you will never have the lack of your own existential experience. You'll never lack your own existential experience. This is what is meant by kalatrayatita, avasthatrayatita. Avasthatrayatita is in all states of consciousness, you continue to exist. So we are telling this Ganesha, this Ganapati, that you exist as this constant consciousness that is there through all that is moving. Right? So this is avasthatrayatitaha. Then you have dehatrayatitaha. What are the three dehas you have? Sthula, Sukshma, Karana. Sthula, Sukshma, Karana. Sthula Deha is this physical gross body made up of the what is known as the Sapta Dhatus, the 7 different elements like the skin, the tissue, the bones, the blood, the bone marrow, all of that. So there are the fat. So these are 7. There are Sapta Dhatus which compose the physical form that we are, and this is called as Thula Sharira. Deha or Sharira kind of means the same. Dakhyati iti Deha. That which burns, that which gets destroyed is Deha. Or Sharira, similarly, Shiyate iti Shariraha. That which gets decayed, that gets disintegrated, that is Sharira. So both mean the same. Deha Trayatitaha Deha. So you have a Sthula Deha, you have a Sukshma Deha and a Karana Deha. Now what is Sukshma Deha? Sukshma Sharira or Sukshma Deha is the presence within me that recognizes me as an individual. This is, in English, it's called the subtle body. The subtle body is what the subtle body comprises of, like the sthula body or the gross body is made up of the Sapta Dhatus, right? These seven different composite elements like skin, tissue, blood, etc. The Sukshma or the subtle body is made up of the mind, the intellect, the ego. Mana, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankara. How Deha is applicable to Ganesha. So when we are looking at a deity as Ganesha, you can either perceive him as the Sthula Ganesha in form, or he can be perceived as Sukshma Ganesha in the form of subtle energies, or mantra form. We will see the next Om Ganapataye, that's the Sukshma form of Ganesha. And there is a Karana form. Karana form is the form which is in unexpressed form of Ganesha, which is the unmanifest. The unmanifest is Karana. The Sukshma is the mantra or the energy form. Sthula is the physical form that we see. Right? So in terms of you talk about Ganesha or you talk about any deity, these are the 3 forms that they carry. All right. All right. So now in terms of what it means to us is, this is my Sthula Deha. Then my Sukshma Deha or my Sukshma Sharira is the mental construct that I have. Mind, Manas, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankara. Mano, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankara. Nirvana Shatakam starts with Mano, Buddhi, Ahankara, Chittani Naham. Nacha Shrotra Jihve, Nacha Grana Netre, Nacha Vyoma Bhumir, Na Tejo Na Vayuhu, Chidananda Rupa, Shivoham, Shivoham. Mano, Buddhi, Ahankara, Chittani Naham. So Mano, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankara, Na Aham. That is what Adi Shankara is saying in that shloka. I am none of these. So Manas, Buddhi, Chitta, Hankara, these four form the Antahkarana or the Sukshma Sharira or the subtle body. Okay. Now the subtle body is what? This subtle body is the one that creates this individual identity that I am. See, the Sthula doesn't say I am this body. If the Sthula Sharira were to say I am this body, then after somebody dies also the body should get up and say I am this, right? After one person dies, the body doesn't claim that I am this. The body doesn't make a claim. Who makes this claim? The Sukshma. Sukshma is this mental construct that I carry of I am this body. Okay, that's the Sukshma Sharira. Then we have Karana Sharira. The Karana Sharira is the storehouse of impressions or vasanas that we carry that impels the Sukshma. So Karana impels the Sukshma, Sukshma impels the Sthula. So Karana, for example, is like electricity that is available in the atmosphere. That's Karana. Electricity is available everywhere. When you harness this electricity through a wire, a cable, that becomes Sukshma. And when it mobilizes a fan or lights up a light, that is Sthula. Right? So just as an example, just as an equivalent comparison, Karana is that which is it's subtler than the Sukshma. So it exists in the most, in its seed form, Karana. What comes out? The Karana, but the Karana is what is the cause for the Sukshma to take different shapes and form. Right? It's like harnessing in the seed form, whatever is there. So you may have a desire in the seed form. But for that desire to prop up and come into my mind and for me to think about it, so from Karana, it comes into Sukshma. And then when it comes in my mind, I act. That is Sthula. So Karana is the storehouse of my desires, my vasanas. Sukshma is the one that processes this. And Sthula is the one that delivers it. So the desires are sitting in the Karana as a storehouse, which is processed by the mind and the intellect and the Ahankara in the Sukshma. And then it makes the body work in that direction, which is the Sthula Sharira. Now, in all of this, in all the three, whether it's in Karana or Sukshma or Sthula, I continue to exist. Correct? Now, until somebody tells us, oh, you are made up of Sthula, Sukshma, Karana, until somebody gives us this definition, we don't know this definition, right? We don't know this until somebody tells us. But what is our experience? Suddenly, if I tell you you are Sukshma, you are Karana and all that, does your experience become broken? Hariyam Srini. Does your experience become broken? The experience doesn't become broken, right? The experience continues to remain as the I. The I continues to remain. And this experience, because it's not broken, it is not constrained also by the three shariras, the three dehas. It is not constrained by them. Whether you are the Sthula or the Sukshma or the Karana, you exist as who you are. Whether somebody gives you this definition or does not, you continue to exist. Right? So this is Dehatrayatitaha. And then we have Kalatrayatitaha. The same thing. We spoke about Avasthatraya and Kalatraya somehow come. They are very similar. Kalatraya is essentially your experience of time is either of the things of the past that you collect as memory and you think about, or the imaginations you create of the future. Correct? What is time according to us? Present is right now, but when I am in the right now, I am either thinking about the past of what has happened, I'm processing that, or I'm thinking about the future, planning out. But where is life? Where is life being led? Where is life being lived? It is always in the present moment, right? Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu. He is the Prabhu, he is the Lord of Bhuta, Bhavya, and Bhava. Which means, how do you explain that? Somebody is a Lord of all the three times, past, present, and future. It means that this particular entity is not impacted by time, which means it is always in the present moment. It is your experience also. You will notice, whenever you notice you are in the present moment, you will always experience yourself as being in the right now. The thoughts of the past does not define you, right? I mean, it doesn't. Those are just thoughts. There has no reality. The reality is right now. Likewise, when I'm planning for the future, that future is not existing now. The future that I'm talking about, I'm thinking, that imagining is just in the imagination. So both are imaginations. The past is imagination because it has gone. I'm using elements of what has happened and thinking about it. Future is an imagination because whatever I know of, I'm trying to project it. Both of these do not exist in reality. What exists in reality is right now. And if we recognize that at every moment, that this is the reality, this is now, this is now, this is now. Nobody says that don't plan for the future. Nobody says don't learn from the past. Of course, you have to learn from the past. Of course, you have to plan for the future. But recognize that you exist always in the present. So if you want to make your future better, where will it get better? Not in the future. It will get better in the present. If in the present condition you are able to sort yourself out, your future is sorted. And this is a constant movement. In the present, I fix myself. My future is sorted. Because this future, today, what you're experiencing was the future of the past. 10 years ago, somebody would have asked us in an interview, what would you want to become 10 years later? We would have given some answer. Now, is that place where we are right now? Yeah, possibly not in that place, right? That's because or probably we are in that place. But how did we get to that place? Not because we just thought that there is a future, because in the present we kept working towards it. So the working and the processing always happens in the present. And that happens by recognition of the fact that I am always living only in the present. I cannot live in the past and I cannot Whatever I do, I can't live in the future. I just can't live in the future, how much ever I like to. Although there are so many scientific fiction movies that show that you can do time travel and all, but none of that is in our experience, right? We have not experienced. I have not seen a person who's actually done that, nor would we possibly be able to see that also, because humanly in this form, even in science, there are limitations for this physical form to travel. So you'll never have that experience of suddenly now I think of the future and I travel there and see, unless it's in your imagination. In physical reality, it does not exist. Right? So when we recognize that I am in the present moment, I am in this present moment is where I am, and this is where I exist, then my consciousness is always in the present and always in the awareness. And then I experience gunatrayatitah, avasthatrayatitah, dehatrayatitah, kalatrayatitah. I am beyond all kinds of definition of gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas, and anything in between. I am beyond the definition of all of that. I am not bound by it. I am beyond the states of consciousness. By beyond, it means I am the one who's perceiving all the states of consciousness, be it waking, dreaming, deep sleep, or all the intermediary states. I am the one who's perceiving it. Dehatrayatitah, I am the one who is existing in the sthula, the sukshma, and the karana as this constant witness. I'm always observing. And I am kalatrayatitah, whether it's the past or the present or imaginations of the future, I am always existing in the present, which means I always exist. I do not experience lack of my existence ever. Right? This is what it means by gunatrayatitah, avasthatrayatitah, dehatrayatitah, kalatrayatitah. Okay. So we'll pause with that today, and we'll pick up the next a few other shlokas in the same verse. Muladhara sthitosi nityam, etc. We'll pick up the week after next. Okay. The next week I won't be available. Om kayena vacha manasendriyerva buddhyatmana va prakrite swabhavat karomi yatyat sakalam parasmai narayanaayeti samarpayami sadashivayeti samarpayami jagadambikayai iti samarpayami satgurunathayeti samarpayami. Hari Om Tat Satgurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Hari Om, Mami.
Hari Om.